and we're greatly making sure that we continuously drive your business as well. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. On a Monday, fruitful one, I would say, and our conversations would be that. Yesterday, Sunday special, the business special, we were discussing with, we had the Standard Group, we had the Standard Bank Group Securities, that is the SPG Securities, the brokers of the Mtn Ipo, as well as a board member from Casita. So why was Casita here? Casita comes into the picture as well. Casita, that is the Kampala City Traders Association, buying these shares from MTN Uganda. Well. It is time to get into our topic today. So our topic of discussion is definitely going to be around there. But just a quick reminder as well, before we even dive into it, what makes you a Ugandan? What makes you a Ugandan? You see, Uganda as a country is nothing without the citizens. Most of us go to understand about our country because we went through school. Now, imagine someone who didn't go through school. What makes you a Ugandan? Because you'll find out that even those who went through school, what made them know Uganda is what the teachers told them. So at the end of the day, you'll be asking yourself questions is, okay, what does it mean? Or what does it actually account for to be a Ugandan at the end of the day? So you can only get to that. But meanwhile, let's try to do this. 2 weeks back, the Sudanese court orders the end of the internet shutdown had actually ordered the internet shutdown that was actually happening in Sudan. And as we speak now, the internet is back in Sudan. I just wanted to remind most of the people about that issue. Yes, the internet is back to the people in Sudan. So you remember that time when Nigeria, the Nigerian president Muhammad Buhari closed down Twitter in Nigeria, and we all know how Nigerians use social media. I think Nigeria has had more subscribers on Twitter, that has more Twitter users, and it caused a public backlash between the Nigerians and the president. So he actually showed them that whether you have which celebrities, I really don't give a damn, and he had to close them down. But this time around, the Sudan court 2 weeks back ordered for the end of the internet shutdown, and at the end of the day, which shows you that these countries don't really don't really joke around in terms of such situations as well. Okay, let's dive into our discussion, however. But as we are diving into it, think about what I asked. What makes you Ugandan? This is the same question I'm actually putting onto my Twitter this very morning. What makes you Ugandan? It is very, very important. You as a Ugandan, what makes you Ugandan? You can answer this on my Twitter handle. That is a Jerome Paul Sonko. What makes you Ugandan? What makes you Ugandan? Yes, if I'm actually to ask very probably right. Okay, MTN IPO, the initial public offer. When the news circulated and it actually became official that the initial public offer has been presented by MTN, most of the Ugandans came out to criticize. You see, Ugandans are very quick at criticizing because most of them come up with their own views. And if you're to talk about the views that they have as Ugandans, most of them come into a situation where they start asking some questions like, you know, MTN wants to rob our money. MTN wants to do this and this. But then most of us, like people who normally analyze or deeply analyze these situations, we are able to identify that this is going to be an opportunity for any Ugandan investor out there. That once things are put in place, you will get to realize that it's an important situation for any Ugandan to understand that you're getting money at the end of the day. Look at this incident, for example. MTN floated 20% last month, that is in October. And by floating 20%, it meant that as MTN Uganda, they're only left with 76 of the shares in MTN, because the 4% goes to Charles Mbiri. So the 20% is going to the subscribers, which means you'll actually no longer be only a subscriber, but be a shareholder. We've been talking you through this, and the best way you could actually go and get yourself apply for the share, by the way, before they actually close down today at 4 p.m. is by dialing *165 *65 hash. Now, follow the prompt and you can get right onto it at the end of the day. So let's look at this again. When MTN came out and closed, first and foremost, the first feedback that we received was most of the Ugandans were asking, is the MTN mobile money Uganda Limited also floated with this IPO? And the answer was yes. Because there was fear that most of the Ugandans thought that MTN wants to run away from the business. And the MTN CEO, Wim Vanello Pate, came out and clearly said, no, how can we run out of a country we've been in for over 21 years? Remember, MTN actually extended its stay in Uganda for 15 years. That was the contract they signed last year, which shows you that they are dedicated to remain in Uganda. Just like when they say they feel Uganda is home. Because most people are saying, since the AfriCell, the likes of the other telecom services that have since run out of business in Uganda, look at Zain, Warid, all those, Celtel. But MTN has stood the test of time. And surprisingly, most of them found MTN here, and they have actually left with MTN still in the country. So at the end of the day, you could definitely see that MTN is dedicated to continuously remain and serve the Ugandans at the end of the day. So that is the question which most of the Ugandans will be asking. What makes us Ugandans? What makes you a Ugandan? Because MTN says it is here to serve you. We're still on our topic here, discussing MTN IPO closes today. What the impact would be. What does it mean to Uganda? Because that is where most of the Ugandans were asking. MTN floating 20% of the shares. And when I had a discussion with one of the Kasita officials, Mr. Jemba Mulondo, he says for them as the business community, they even feel the 20% was even less. As other people are actually complaining, saying that MTN wants to take money, the business-minded people are saying the 20% shares that were floated were less. We need more shares. So this shows you that in a situation where some people think the money is limited, others are still looking at it as a way that we can get more of this. So for that situation, my question has been, have you got your share from MTN? Because what we do know is that MTN Uganda's IPO closes 22nd November. And for the past few weeks, when MTN has actually been going on road shows for a sensitizing drive, making sure that they sensitize the natives and to actually show them the importance of buying these shares from MTN Uganda. So this has been a drive that has actually been ongoing at the end of the day. So what you need to understand is these are things you need to know. The MTN IPO closes today, but if we are to look at this, let's also try to look at a situation where, remember, Kenya was actually given room for that. A week back, Kenyan investors started warming up to the MTN IPO. So you can see, as the Ugandans were actually not aware of this, but because of, you remember Nairobi has the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and for them, they know the importance of actually buying shares in a company. The investors are already warming up to buy the available shares there. Let's see now. So MTN raised mobile money ceiling to 20 million shillings as the drive for shares comes to an end today. That was last week. So the drive for shares that is actually coming to an end has been increasing. As you can definitely see, the company made a last-minute ditch to attract as many applications for the company's shares as possible. With the closure of the MTN IPO coming to an end today, the company temporarily opened up the daily cash transfer limit to allow current account holders to pay for shares worth up to 20 million shillings per day using the mobile money platform, up from the 5 million shilling limit announced at the IPO. Management says this will not apply for those opening SCD accounts in the next few hours, because the move is based on the Know Your Customer policy. So if at all you're going to buy a SIM card today, this move may not, you may be limited to the amount of money or to the amount of shares today. Reason being, you are only becoming a subscriber of MTN because of the availability of these shares. So that is why they say the move is based on the Know Your Customer policy. The 5 million limit and the limit on the normal mobile money transaction of up to 7 million per day is one way of ensuring that the financial industry is not abused of money laundering and other crimes like financing of money and of financing of terrorism acts in the country. So let's look at this as well. By keeping the 20 million shilling window to existing account holders, the regulator in MTN felt it was less risky than opening the limit for new subscribers too. Public sentiments like the profitability of the company, its commitment that it will remain in the country for the long term, as well as the fear that MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited might not be part of the stock being offered, dominated the feedback. Like I was actually mentioning, that if you look at the situation here, that public sentiment, like the profitability of the company, most of the people were actually looking at the public, people were actually publicizing this, and most people were saying, how does an individual, for instance, if you look at scenarios of MTN, most Ugandans were saying that the company wants to gain more profits from the public, because there was there's this theory whereby if the company is not performing well, then you as a shareholder, your shares are also not going to come out. You're also not going to earn anything, because once the company is not performing, then that means you're not making money out of it. Then you're not going to expect any dividend at the end of it all. But then, just like business, remember business, if you would say business is a risky move, that today you may make profits, the other day you will fail. So the idea here where most people are looking at that the company is actually looking at profitability may not be right. Its commitment that it will remain in the country for the long term has also been put out there by most of the Ugandans. But my question would be, Stanbic Bank got floated in 2007. It is still here. Yes. Stanbic Bank Uganda Limited got listed in 2007. But it's still in the country. Why then MTN Uganda, which also extended a contract to remain in the country for more 15 years, why then would people start questioning questioning its durability in the country? Then the other fear by most of the Ugandans was the fear that MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited is quite, most of the Ugandans were well concerned that is MTN Uganda Limited going to be listed as well in the initial public offer? Because Ugandans, normally Ugandans are very, I would say, calculative, because they calculate most of these situations in terms of how do we benefit as Ugandans. So at the end of it all, with the conversations that were going on, the SPG Securities have actually come out to tell Ugandans that there is an opportunity for you as a Ugandan. That when you are getting this money, or to get this money, because a share is 200 Ugandan shillings, that as you're actually putting in your money, at the end of the day, you are going to earn from it. Let's just try to break this out as we are building this conversation still. SPG Security says that this is an opportunity for Ugandans to be part owners of MTN Uganda. Because if you apply for the shares, just like MTN says, you'll be part of the company. Because the company that owns MTN Uganda is the MTN Group South Africa, and is selling 20% of its ownership in MTN Uganda as a way of showing that the company is part and owned by the communities. That now MTN is also owned by you as a Ugandan. And the reason as to why you need to buy these shares is it will actually make you a shareholder in the company, which entitles you. Let's look at the benefits now, because now the Mtn IPO is closing today. Once you buy a share in the company, once you buy shares in MTN, or once you become a shareholder, you're actually entitled to the voting rights on specific company matters, which include election of a company board of directors at the annual general meeting. So the annual MTN general meeting, you as a shareholder, you will actually attend and actually have a say in terms of the voting. At this meeting, you get to understand how the company is performing and query the management on anything regarding how the business is running. Whether you are a shareholder, then you are entitled to understand business etambula etya. Ye mama kati nze natekayo sente zange, sente ze natekayo zinavaayo. So wokubaganya ensonga zino ojja kwekanganga ofunamu. So the other part is you can also benefit from the capital gains if you sell your shares at a profit. For instance, woba otandise okugula emigabo, osobola okugula emigabo gya miliyoni nga 5. Emigabo gino girina akaseera we gituuka ne gigejja oba ne girinnya. And if you reach a time n'owulira nga gwe emigabo gye wagula gya miliyoni 10 owulira nga it is high time I sold them off to a potential buyer, ojja kwekanga nti osobola okufuna. Ojja kwekanga nga emigabo nti oyinza oba wagigula miliyoni 10 n'ogitunda ku miliyoni nga 3. So that is the idea here. Most people call it risky, but it's a risk that you would want to try out. That at the end of the day, the capital gains are available. You may buy shares of 5 million, and once the stock market rises, you can actually sell them off to 10 million Ugandan shillings. So that is the double you get by buying these shares. So think about it. And then the other issue here is I was actually asking myself questions back then that do we have trader communities engaging in this? Well, the Kampala City Traders Association followed suit. This is the organization that converges most of the traders in Kampala. That is those who have actually agreed to the terms and conditions of the organization. And Kasita says there is a number of strong reasons as to why they decided to invest in the MTN shares. Because for instance, Kasita believes that their long-term vision is to grow their portfolio of strategic investments to ultimately grow their participation in the Ugandan economy beyond traditional trade. The MTN Uganda IPO presented a good opportunity for Kasita And in this regard, they decided to follow suit. By following suit was to also encourage other traders under Kasita to buy these shares. Because if you to look at these shares should actually help you focus on the long term. Nti woba gwoli muguzi wa shares oba wemigabo mu MTN ojigulo tunulide kya maaso. Waliwo akaseera wezijjo tukanga emigabo girinnye ne baba akaseera gatuuka nga atejijja kukola bulungi gigwe. Mukugwa ofiirwa, mukulinnya ofunamu. Tigisobola olinnya nosalawo ogitunde oba nosalawo osigale ng'okyagiina. Ogitunda ate ogitunda ku ssente gwe z'oyagadde, ku percentage gwe gy'olaba nti egenda kuyamba. So we wetandika okutunulira mu nsonga y'okuzimba, building yourself as an individual. It starts with maybe taking this risky move. When you buy shares today, maybe next year, they may actually increase. You may get more money out of it. You may actually sell the shares at a more bigger price. MTN Uganda's success as a business is not in doubt if you're to look at that. And it's an association of business people. So anyone looking out for good opportunities such as buying shares, investing in MTN Uganda should actually be the opportunity for you. The MTN initial public offer, just to remind you, comes to an end today, November 22nd, 4 p.m. So if at all you still have time if at all you want to buy the shares, you still have a few hours before the MTN IPO closes. And just to remind you, if you want to apply, you can dial *165 *65 hash, then select option 1 and open an SCD account. Enter your NIN number, enter your full national ID number because this is already NIN. And select your preferred broker and then choose option 1 to accept terms and conditions. Among the brokers, there is the SBG Securities that we had yesterday. Enter your mobile money PIN and wait for a confirmation SMS. After setting up the account, please follow the prompts to apply and pay for the shares. If you don't have an MTN line, you can actually go and get one from the MTN service center and get more assistance. As the IPO comes to an end, most of the Ugandans have been buying because according to the brokers, it has actually registered a number of Ugandans, surprisingly, because we're actually expecting a lot of Ugandans to actually shun away from the idea. But then surprisingly, according to the brokers, it was actually vice versa. Ugandans stand up, Ugandans bought the shares. So we do expect by the end or by the closure of the IPO, just like MTN said, they will sit down and evaluate how many Ugandans bought the shares and how many shares were bought. So we shall definitely be giving you all those details as the IPO closes today. I'm Joran Paul Sanko, and coming up after the break is Andrew Barija with the latest from the entertainment business. Stick around. This is SMB.